we'll see how this goes. All right, so we're going to try to basically make a table, add some stuff, query it, and then we're going to talk about how to actually do it using JavaScript, specifically Node stuff. So first off, can we see? Should be getting bigger. Is this a reasonable size? Yeah, cool. So from your bash command over here, if you somehow close your terminal, you can click this little plus sign over here and click new terminal. I already have one. It's gonna, when you create a new one, it'll be in your default workspace. So I'd like you to do, if we just recap here, ls is to view our directories. I'm gonna cd into my web folder. ls again. I'm gonna cd into my period 7. Whoops. Folder. Right, and then I'm gonna make a new demo. So it'll be, if we clear, it'll be mkdir. So far the commands I've used, ls, right, is view, cd is to change directory, and then clear is to clear your screen. So we're gonna make a new directory, mkdir. I'm gonna call it SQL test. Great, and now when we ls, you can see here's my SQL test, right? So I'm gonna cd into there. And boom, boom, we're in our folder. So from here, we're going to actually make a new database. And basically, the way to do that is it is a sqlite, sqlite3. And so basically, the commands are sqlite3, which is basically to run sqlite3. And then the second argument here is the name of your database. So in this particular case, I'm just going to call it, I don't know, day1 test. .db, that is the .db is the standard file extension for databases. So you can see at the bottom over here, we are now inside of our database. Let's see, can I clear buffer? No. Is there a way to clear screen? Whatever, that's fine for now. It's going to be at the bottom. Let me see if I can move it up a bit. Alright, so I'm now typing commands here. So once we're inside of our database, as it suggests here, enter SQL statements terminated with a semicolon. If you don't use semicolons, it's basically not going to end your command, and you'll probably end up with syntax errors. It's just more of a, like, be careful about that. So we are going to make a table, and the command for that is create table. You'll note that I'm using all caps here, but you don't actually need to. But it's pretty standard practice to do that. So I'm going to call it students. Taylor, you want to give me one argument that we're going to be capturing about our students? Age, sure. So it'll be integer age. And Caroline, you want to give me another one? Grade. Sounds good. Integer grade. And maybe one last one, Vandana. Name. So names are a little bit, this type is going to be a varchar, and it's basically just a string. And I'm going to put in the standard amount is going to be 255. So this is basically how big it is, right? All right, and then make sure you close your, varchar name. Great. And I forgot my semicolon. Duplicate. Column name integer. Oh, I think I did it backwards. I think it's got to be age integer. Sorry about that. Age integer grade integer name varchar 255. Boom boom. We've got our table here. Right, so you can see ideally, in an ideal world, we have created this. If we want to view our tables, actually, let's just go in here and see what this guy does right here, this .help. John Carl, you want to close the door, please? Make this one bigger. That might be too big. We'll see what happens. So if we run this .help, you can see there's a bunch of nice commands in here. some of the ones I use a lot, there's a, where is it? There's a way to get out of my, well, for one, .exit is a good one. If you want to actually quit SQL, you can do that. We have .tables, where is that? .tables, this will basically tell us all of our tables. And then we also have this .schema, and you pass in a table, and it'll basically tell us the schema of our table. So, for example, if we run .tables, you can see the only table we have is students, right? And if we run .schema students, and we can, it's actually not case sensitive, I think, right? You can see this is the command we ran to create our table for students. So, what questions do you guys have so far? We haven't really done anything too crazy yet. If we want to add stuff, let's just quickly show how we would Google our way through this. Let's see, how to add data to a SQL table. Great. Now, in terms of various commands, there is, well, first off, W3 Schools is always a good bet. There's also, I think it's Tutorials Point has some pretty good stuff in here. That's not showing up in my first search, so I'm definitely just going to use this. So you can see this is kind of, there's a couple different ways to do this. One is we can just run an insert into and pass in the column names. The second way is if we already know the order, we can basically just pass in an order, right? So we, I believe, did age, then grade, then name. So we can just pass it in that order, and it'll automatically take it in that order. But if you forget the order, then you can certainly do this first one, right? So we're actually just going to try both of these out. We're going to try this one first. So going back in here, it'll be insert, and you can see as they're doing, right? Typically, it's all caps here. So, but you don't have to. It's more of a like standard. So we got insert into students, right? Values, and so we'll have, oh, I don't know, Rudra. How old are you, Rudra? 18. He's a senior, so maybe 12 for grade. And then Rudra, right? We need our semicolon. Oh, no such table student. It's because I forgot the S here. Right, you can see boom, boom. We hopefully added Rudra to our table. We'll try it out later. Let's add one other person. I'm going to add Keely. So we'll do inserts into students. And you can see I'm going to try this other one up here. So we can pass in the column name. So maybe we could do name, grade, age, values, Keely. She's in grade 11, right? And how old are you, Keely? 16, right? Don't forget your semicolon. And we know that it worked, or at least we think that it worked, simply because it didn't crash, right? You can see in the first one up here, we got this nice error message that'll tell us that it didn't work. That's going to be a pretty standard way of doing things. Now, in terms of did it actually insert, that's a reasonable question. So let's actually try to query our table. And the most basic query we can do is just basically select everything in students, right? And again, I would recommend SQL, let's see, select command. I would recommend just Googling your way through it, right? So we have select SQL, right? There's a Wikipedia article. I would recommend just checking out the W3 schools. And you can see we can select specific columns. We can also do a select where. Well, that's not on this page. It's a little bit more complex. It was actually this guy. Right, select where. So we could actually limit that, but let's try this for now. So we can just do select star from students, right? And what that's going to do is that is going to literally select every single student here. So if we run that, whoops, I have a typo. So select star from students, right? And boom, boom. You can see that it gave us the right format here. It uses these vertical bars as our separators. Right, so they are both indeed in there. And even though we did the weird adding for Keeley, it still worked. Right, if we want to do select maybe only specific columns, right? Like we can just specify specific columns, like we can select age and name from students. Right, you can see it's only going to select the specific columns, right? So that's nice. And then the last one that's kind of nice is we can do a where command. So we can do select star from students, where, and if we actually look up this little guy here, you can see it, we can basically pass in clauses. So for example, we could do like an equals, we could do like a greater than, right? So we can do where age is greater than 17, right? And it should only give us Rudra, which it does. Right? So pretty basic stuff so far, but generally speaking, the idea here is we can actually just save our stuff. We can save our state into this guy here. Now, let's say we want to quit. That is the .quit command. You'll note that you don't need a semicolon for the special SQLite commands, right? It's only for the actual SQL calls to our table that we need to do that. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, how do we get back in? Well, we can do an ls right here, and you can see that this day1test.db is still there. Right, so that's basically sticking around there. And really what's happening here is SQLite, all it does is it just creates a file, right? We can actually view this thing if we open it up in a text editor. Actually, I've never tried it in the built-in C9 editor. Let's see what happens. So web spring, period 7, SQL test, and you can see here's our nice, wonderful, highly readable file, right? There's a bunch of garbage in here, right? There is some stuff that we can recognize, right? There, like, for example, you can see that this is definitely what we typed in there, right? That's the schema of our table. And you can see that there is some stuff in here for data-wise. But that being said, this thing is not particularly human readable, right? Some of it is, but a lot of it isn't. And what all these random like red, pink dots are is they're basically like some weird encoding format, right? This is the same idea as if you try to open up a Word document in Notepad, right? You'll get all these weird question mark symbols because it just doesn't know how to recognize it. So same idea going on here. That being said, for all intents and purposes, all that's going on when you run SQLite commands is it's just literally saving it in a text file. Right, it just uses special characters, but as long as you just follow the rules on there, it'll just kind of work. So it's not saving anywhere else. It's not saving in the cloud, right? It is literally only saving, well, I mean, we are saving in the cloud because we're in C9, but it's not saving anywhere but on our C9 server. So what questions do you guys have at this point? Sweet, so this is kind of our little opening demo for this. We are going to talk a little bit more about how to actually plug in our JavaScript code next time. However, what I would say is if you are at a point where you're already done with your Socket Lab, I would try to actually save something. For example, if you're doing a game, maybe you can save like a win-loss record, right? So, and basically what that's gonna look like is if you just Google npm SQLite, and similar to any of the other things like Express or any of those other ones, there is an npm module, and it's called SQLite here, right? And you can kind of see there's a nice little walkthrough here. So basically, once you install it, you basically just require it at the top, just like we did with these other things, right? And then you can basically open it up, right? And then actually just run commands on that. So we're going to talk a bit more about this at another time. But with that said, that kind of concludes my stuff. What other questions do you guys have? Cool. In terms of an actual specific assigned lab, we're going to get to that next class. But that being said, happy coding.